2023 everyone. Welcome back to the channel if you've been here before, and hello if you're new. Today's video is just going to be nice and chill. I'm doing a mini crochet challenge to sort of ease my way back into the new year. Very laid back, very casual. This is a stress-free zone at the moment. Now, I do have the pattern that I'll be using today down here, so I'll be glancing away pretty frequently. Not trying to be rude, I'm not trying to avoid eye contact, I just need to look at my pattern. So the idea for this little mini challenge to start off the year actually came about due to the amalgamation of a few different things that happened. Towards the end of last year, I did another crochet challenge video, which I'm sort of calling my 6 designs challenge. And I'll pop a link for that down in the description if you're interested in watching that. I would recommend it. It was a lot of fun to make, so it might be fun to watch too. Who knows? Go check that out. But in that video, one of the challenges I did was using a super bulky yarn, which it turns out I didn't really enjoy. I hadn't done it before, and that was the first time I tried it, and I ended up disappointed. I've always wanted to try chunky crochet. I thought it'd be really cool. Turns out I hate it, which sucks. But if you want to check out the entire bulky yarn saga, you will have to go check out that video. When I'd finished that challenge though, I had some of the yarn left over. And one of my crochet goals for this year, it's not a New Year's resolution, I don't do those, I'm not a fan, but I am going to set myself a few crochet / crafting goals this year. And one of those is to use up as much of my yarn stash as I possibly can before buying new stuff. Not only do I have this leftover stuff, but as I was going through my stash and organizing it, I also came across this, which I'd forgotten about. Right, so I have this yarn and I'm wondering what I'm going to do with it because I've recently discovered that I don't like crocheting with bulky yarn. But then towards the end of last year, around the end of November, sort of start of December, I kept getting these videos recommended to me in my YouTube feed. They were all like hand knit blankets, how to hand knit a blanket, hand knitting this, hand knitting that. And while I don't knit, well, not yet at least, but we can talk about that later. But it did get me wondering if you could actually crochet amigurumi by hand. And that is how I've come to sit before you today, preparing to hand crochet and amigurumi goldfish. How this is going to go, I have no idea. I didn't do any trial run, any practicing. I thought I'd just dive straight in and whatever happens, happens. And you guys get to come along for the ride with me. I don't have too much white yarn, so I'm going to start with this, but I will change color frequently to the orange because I've got quite a lot of that to use up. There's this, and then there's this, and then there's this. I need to find the end. Oh, this is so tangled. Here we go, I found the end. And I don't actually know what this stuff is, but it will be a goldfish by the time I'm finished with it. I set that there. I'm going to start off with my white yarn. And I'm thinking because this is bulk yarn, I will start off, don't go off, should have changed my phone settings, too late now. I'm going to start off with the chain 2 method rather than try a magic circle. And it occurs to me as I start that maybe I should have watched one of those videos that got recommended to me. It might have given me some idea of how this would go. But, okay, so then like that. Okay, 2 chains. I have 2 chains. Ta-da! Okay, now my first round is going to be 6 single crochet. So I'm going to go into the first chain. I wonder if tension's going to be an issue here. Pull through, and then I'd have to pull through again, like that. Okay, that sort of looks like a stitch. Okay, I'll try to do another one, go in, pull through, and this might be one of those things where it gets easier as I know what I'm doing. Okay, my finger's not really working as a hook, so I have to use both fingers to pinch the yarn. Number 3. Okay, no, I'm pinching, not hooking. All right, 3. Again, pinching, not hooking. 4. Bugger. Alright, I got it. It's okay. 5. And 6. Righto, so I have successfully made round 1. So I've got my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches. Round 2 is 6 increases. I should know that. I've made this pattern so many times that I should remember it, and I don't. So that's why I've got the pattern with me. But I'm going to be changing color in this round, and now that I've got a bit of an idea of what I'm doing, I say that as I struggle to grab the yarn, but I thought what we do in this video is just have a bit of a chat about what sort of things are happening on the channel, what I got planned for this year, what you guys are up to. So let me know what you're crocheting at the moment, what your crochet, don't go off, what your crochet goals are. Now, as I said before, I don't really make New Year's resolutions. I know, I just think they're kind of pointless. I've never been much of a fan, but I have set myself a couple of goals for this year. One of those goals, as I've already mentioned, is to de-stash as much as I possibly can. So with all my projects, I've already lost count, but I'm attempting to use up as much yarn as I possibly can before I buy any more. I'm making amigurumi, I'm making some clothes, which, if everything goes to plan, there should be a video for my next piece of clothing out in 2 weeks when this goes up. So that's sort of goal number 1, use up my yarn stash. I've already actually made some progress on that because I've been making beanies and hats that I will donate as we get closer to winter in the colder months. That was actually a suggestion by someone when I made my video after I sort of had to take a break for about 2 or 3 months because a whole heap of shit happened. And I made a video about sorting out my yarn stash, and someone suggested making beanies or hats to donate. I can't remember the username, but whoever you were, thank you for that suggestion. It was a very good one. So I've got a collection of, I gotta get my finger. Changing color is trickier than I thought, but I have a collection of beanies and hats that I want to grow, that I want to then donate. And as mentioned previously, I'm going to be making some more clothes because that's something I really want to get into, like making a whole wardrobe from crochet clothing, and also like improving my skill, because at the moment I've just been using like double crochet to make my clothes, and I'm working more on like shaping the garments, so doing different shapes for front panels, back panels, sleeve panels. But once I've got the hang of that, I want to progress using different stitches and different techniques. I've completely lost count here. I think I've done 4 increases, so I'll do 2 more. Change color here. I'll do 2 more and then I'll count. All right, where was I? First goal, de-stashing. Second goal is to finish off a lot of my whips, my works in progress, because that is a pile that is, well, somehow it is paradoxically both bigger and smaller than I thought. I went through my stuff the other day just sorting it out and to get an idea of what I need to finish. So that is sort of killing 2 birds with 1 stone, because I'll be using up some of my stash to finish off my whips. But I might do a video on that as well and get you guys to help me decide what projects to finish off, which ones I'm going to frog, because I don't think I'll be keeping them all. Let's get through there. And I think that was increase number 5. So I'll do 1 more increase and then I will count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. No, I did too many. So I'll take out that increase. But now I am on to this round number 3, which is 1 single crochet, 1 increase repeated 6 times. And one thing I did actually remember to do was to bring a bit of scrap yarn, because I'm going to use that as my stitch marker. One of the other goals I have for this year is to attempt some other crafts. I want to try to learn knitting. No one else in my family is a knitter except for my mum, but she's left-handed, so she's tried to teach me before. It didn't go that well. So I'm going to have to YouTube it like I did when I wanted to learn to crochet. But on top of that, I also want to learn some other crafts. Like I've always been interested in embroidery, in cross stitch. I want to get back into sewing. I have sewn in the past. I've made myself, some clothes. I made clothes for my nephews and nieces, but I want to do some more of that. And I also want to see if I can combine sewing and crocheting somehow. I might start off simple, like make a bag or something and then line the bag. And I think my final goal for this year is to finally get around to making a bloody granny square, because I still have not made one. I've been crocheting for, it'll be 5 years I think this year, and I still haven't made a single granny square. Like, I'm not too upset about that. I don't really care all that much, if I'm being really honest, because I've always been more interested in amigurumi rather than granny squares. But because I'm attempting to make my own clothes, I want to try as many techniques as possible. So I would like to do a granny square something, whether that's granny square cardigan, granny square, I don't know, overalls, maybe even a granny square bag. But I will finally get around to making a granny square this year. That is pretty much my crafting goals for this year. What about you guys? Do you guys set yourself crafting goals? Is there a certain project you want to get around to, or something new that you want to learn? Maybe we can all learn together. Tell me if you know any good like embroidery or cross stitch tutorials. I don't know what I'm up to. I think I might have buggered this up. Okay, round 3. Round 4. I'm on round 4. So 2 single crochet, increase, repeated 6 times. When it comes to this channel specifically, I don't think there's too much I'm going to change or need to update you guys on. As for written patterns, I know a couple of people have been asking about written patterns. They should have been out a long time ago, but like, to be honest, the last year, well, maybe 9 months or so, has been kind of shitty, not the best. And to be completely honest, written patterns just weren't high on my priority list. I didn't get to work on them much at all. Combine that with, if you're following along with the Pokemon blanket, you will know that I ended up losing a whole heap of my work on that when the hard drive that everything was backed up on got broken, and I did lose some of my work on my written patterns when that happened too. But fortunately it wasn't too much, because I hadn't been able to put in too much work into those yet. But it is something I'm working on. I've spent the last couple of days working on written patterns, and I hope to have them out at some point, but I'm not gonna rush. I have other things that need to come first, so basically they will be out when they're out. But if there's a particular pattern that you would like to see the written pattern of, just make sure you put that down in the comments, because I'd like to do the ones that people would actually like to see first. I'll prioritize those. One of the first ones I've actually almost finished it, is the Minecraft axolotl, because a lot of people have asked me about that one. Hopefully that should be out first, but again, no promises. I should really not talk and try and count my stitches at the same time, because I keep losing count. I buggered it up because I should have finished on an increase, but somehow I still have the right number of stitches. We're just going to go with it. Don't question it. That is round 4 done. I'm just going to give my hands a rest for a sec. Another thing I wanted to talk about was the Pokemon blanket. I don't know who I pissed off, the Pokemon gods, the crochet gods, maybe both, but I've had so many problems with this project ever since I started it. It's not being stopped. I'm still continuing with it, but what I think I'll do, because what happened this time, if you're following along with the Pokemon blanket, you're probably up to date with the stuff that's happened. But I was working on the next few patterns in the series, and I think like one of the graphics got corrupted, so the video file would not export unless I deleted those graphics. But I need the graphics because that's where the pattern is because you won't be able to read the pattern if the pattern's not included in the video. So what I've had to do is I've had to recreate all those graphics, and that has set me back from where I wanted to be, you know, at the start of this year in regards to the Pokemon blanket cal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself an extra week or two, and then starting probably mid-January, I'm hopefully, fingers crossed if nothing else goes wrong, I will start getting those videos out again for anyone who's following along with the Pokemon blanket cal. But oh, I don't know what it is about this project. It had to be literally the biggest project I've ever worked on, or probably ever will work on, and I just had to have so many problems. But we will persevere. I will keep pushing this through because I want this bloody Pokemon blanket. I wish we could just skip to the end where all the work's done and we just have our Pokemon blankets. And I think that was pretty much it. That was all I wanted to talk about in this video. So now I can actually concentrate on making this goldfish, be able to properly count my stitches if I'm not having to talk at the same time. So 1, 2, 3. And this is going better than I expected so far. Once you get into that sort of rhythm, you figure out what you need to do. It's not so bad. Oh, bugger. I wasn't supposed to increase this round. I was supposed to just do 24 single crochet. And I may have to crochet this guy some eyes because I'm not going to have safety eyes big enough. But even if I did, the holes between the stitches are really big. Hello. So I don't think I'm going to have any safety eyes that will work with this project. But that's good because one of my goals was to use up my yarn stash, and I can do that to make some eyes. And that is stitch 24, so round 5 is done. What I might do now is just cut my white yarn because I don't really have much of that, and I would like to use it throughout the rest of the body and even see if I can get a bit in either the dorsal fin or the tail. So I'm going to use it sparingly. I think I might have to give my hands another break. Bugger. I forgot to grab scissors. I knew I'd forget something. Alright, so the next few rounds I'm just going to do in orange, and then I'm going to reintroduce the white in what should be the back. So this is going to be the front and this should be the belly. I'm going to have another white spot on the back here. At least that's the plan. Bugger it. Where's my scissors? I've just finished off round number 12 and I'm starting round 13, which is going to include my first decreases. And I'm wondering how that will play out using my fingers, my very, very sore fingers. So I'm going to do this round and I think I'll have to take another break, but I want to check out how these decreases work. Hopefully it won't be too bad. I've gotten into sort of a good rhythm here. I can actually just use my one finger now. I don't have to pinch the yarn through. And 12, and I need to repeat 2 single crochet and a decrease. I'm going to try an invisible decrease first, working in the front loops, which I don't think is going to give me too much trouble. But if it doesn't work, I will attempt to single crochet 2 together. So I'm going to attempt my first decrease now under the first front loop, then under the second front loop, then yarn over and pull that through, and that's easy. That was no issue at all. So I need to do my second one. 1, 2, and I'm going to change color here. I think I've done pretty well so far. Happy with my progress. I've almost finished the body. I've only got five or six or so rounds to go on that. And then I think I'll tackle the tail next, because I'm not going to have too much white yarn left, but I want to make sure I at least get a little bit of white in the tail, and then hopefully a bit of white in the dorsal fin as well. If I'm really lucky, I will have a little bit of white left to do one of the pectoral fins, but I don't know if I'm going to have enough for that. There's really not much left. Alright, that is round 18 finished. Time to add the stuffing. Fortunately, I actually remembered to bring the stuffing over, unlike the scissors. And now I just have two rounds to go. Almost done. And luckily, I don't think the other parts, the fins and the tail, are going to be quite as time consuming. Okay, that's the final round finished, and I don't have a needle big enough for this yarn, so I'm going to have to weave in this end by hand, which sort of fits what I'm going for here anyway. Body finished. I think I will tackle the tail next. So you stay there. I might start the tail in orange and then change color a couple of times from there. All right, what do I have to do? Chain 6 to begin. And I just realized I'm not actually following the tail pattern, I'm following the dorsal fin pattern. So change of plans, we are doing the dorsal fin first. There is the dorsal fin, and I'll have to figure out how I'm going to weave these in. That's a problem for later. We'll need to sew this on, so I'm going to need some yarn here. Make sure I cut the right one. Okay, now I will do the tail, the actual tail. I'll check the pattern first this time. But I'm becoming slightly concerned that I won't have enough yarn. I'm hoping I will, but the tail is pretty big. And I was planning to do 2 tails, because with the goldfish pattern you can do 1, 2, 4, however many you want. I was planning to do 2, but I think I'll start with 1. I'll make the pectoral fins after that, and if I have enough yarn left, I'll make the second tail. I'm supposed to have 2.5 rows left of the tail, but this is all the orange yarn that I have left, and I still need to make both the pectoral fins. So I'm going to stop here, and I'll just leave a little tail for sewing. I don't need much for that, and I'm going to try and make 1 entire pectoral fin in the remaining orange, and then I'm going to try and make the other remaining pectoral fin in the white. I don't know how that's going to work out. If worse comes to worse, what I will do is just make 1 of the pectoral fins that I need, and then we could just call him Nemo. Yeah, that'll work, right? I'll have to weave this one in, but I'll do that later. Okay, pectoral fin pattern. And I'm pretty sure it's just a really small pattern. So let's see. Oh, I have ventral fins too. Well, they're not getting made. So we're just going to do the pectoral fins, and yeah, it's only 3 rows. So I think I'll be okay here. Start with the orange one. And I just need to do 2 more single crochet, but I don't know if I'm going to have enough. All right. Next stage of my plan is I'm going to leave that as it is. I'm going to grab my white, because I think I have more than this than I do the orange, which surprises me. I expected to run out of this really quickly. I'll make the pectoral fin that I need to in white, and if I have any yarn left over, I'll do the last row of that one. And I just need to do 2 more. I'm not going to have enough to do the rest of that one. So we'll have 1 full pectoral fin and 1 half-ish pectoral fin. I did say I was going to call him Nemo, so that kind of works out. Okay, and 2. So that's finished. I don't know if I'm going to have enough yarn to sew that on. Actually, no, I think we should be right. So that's that one done. This one will just have to remain as it is. And now I need to sew all of these together. But I did mention that I don't have a needle big enough for this yarn, so I'm just going to have to hand sew it. Right, I'll begin by weaving in some of these ends. See how that goes. It's probably not even worth getting pins out for this, is it? Make sure you're facing the right way. That's as good as it's gonna get. It's a bit hard to judge where the tail should be, but at least at this point I haven't put the eyes on yet, so I don't have to worry about this being sort of out of center. I'll just move the eyes to accommodate the tail. Okay, tail is on. Okay, now I'm going to sew on all the other bits, and then I'll have to make myself some eyes like this guy. To answer the question, can you hand crochet amigurumi? Yes, you can. Would I recommend it? Probably not, no. I can safely say that I haven't changed my mind about crocheting with chunky yarn. Turns out I hate it, but I think you can all agree that it did work. I will be crocheting this guy some eyes. I'll probably do the same pattern I did here, but I'm not going to be doing any more crocheting today because my finger is very sore. And a downside of this that I didn't see coming was I kept scratching myself with my own fingernails, and my nails aren't even that long. It's pretty dangerous, this hand crocheting stuff, but I'm going to give those a rest, and I'll do those either tomorrow or another day. Bit of critique with the hand crochet method. Number 1 is your tension is really inconsistent. So you can see in some parts I've got the stitches fairly tight, but in other sections there's just massive holes, especially at the start where I haven't quite, gotten into the rhythm of what I was doing yet. If you like crocheting with chunky yarn, this might be a project for you. You might find it fun, might find it interesting, but as I discovered when I was doing this guy, I didn't particularly like crocheting with chunky yarn. Turns out I hate it, and this one hasn't changed my mind. I do like the way they look. I like the larger amigurumi. I just don't like the crocheting them process. That is all the chunky yarn I have. I actually used up all the orange and all the white. So I hope you enjoyed my first foray into my scrap busting this year. I hope you'll join me on my other scrap busting adventures, which I don't actually know what they're going to be yet, but I'll probably make a couple of other videos on whatever topic that turns out to be. Don't cover up the mic. So thank you all for watching. I hope you had a good holiday season, a happy and safe new year. And yeah, that's all for today. So thank you for sticking around and watching if you have done so. I will see you next week with my next pattern, which should be the reversible ditto / Snorlax.